This conference will now
Yes.
be recorded.
Yeah. Anyone have any
Explain
issues?
what's
Sorry?
explain one's process property.
Process property? Your voice is not clear, Monica. Can you repeat?
Repeat once about process property.
Okay. Okay. So, dynamic document property and dynamic process property, right? So, name itself it is saying document level property, dynamic document level property. Okay, it is a document level property, document level property. Okay, now, so yesterday what I told you that so whenever if you deals with the document level properties, then we need to go with the dynamic document property. Okay, whenever if you want to use a particular property in an entire account level, okay, sorry, in an entire process level, okay, in an entire process level, then we will go with a dynamic process property. Okay, dynamic process property. So here, for example, let's say if you are getting documents from the source, now you want to capture any value. Okay, let's say if you are getting 10 documents from the source, out of that if you want to capture some specific value, okay, some specific id, okay, id, you want to capture some specific id, that id is going to be used in entire account level, sorry, in entire process level, then we can go with the dynamic process property. Okay, if say, let's say if you are getting same id, if you are using same id, now you want to use that id in a particular, okay, in a particular branch or in a particular document, okay, then we can go with a dynamic document property. Okay, then we'll go with the dynamic document property. So let's simple funda, if you want to use any value or any field in an entire process level, then we'll go with the dynamic process property. And if you want to go with the document level, until the document is not changing, we can store these values. Okay, if you want to go with the document level, then we can go with the dynamic document property. Okay, yes, clear. So here yesterday we we stored some values, okay, by using dynamic process property, and some values by using dynamic document property. Okay, now if you want to retrieve them here, if you can retrieve, you can retrieve, right? Here what we are doing here in the third branch, we are retrieving the dynamic document property. And same by using the dynamic, here dynamic document property, here and here the dynamic document property. Okay, so but which is stored in a dynamic process property, here we are storing, and here we are retrieving that value which is stored by dynamic document property. Okay, now let's save it, test it out. Okay, so now come to here the first set property shape. Okay, here what we are doing, we are storing the id value by using dynamic document properties. Okay, dynamic process property. Okay, so now here you can see, here we are getting profile element, we are trying to store each and every value. So see, while storing the values, we can store each and every document id. Okay, each and document value we can store when we are using dynamic process property as well as dynamic document property, we can store each and every document value. Okay, but here come here also same, we can see here we can store the each and document value. So now when we are retrieving dynamic document property values, we can able to retrieve all the document values. Okay, if you see here, we are storing the dynamic document property and we are retrieving that values here. Okay, you can see we are able to retrieve all the values. Yes, we can able to retrieve all the values. Okay, now come to here. So if you using dynamic process property to store, and later if you are retrieving that properties dynamic process property values, we can retrieve only the last document value, and that document value is going to be overridden the previous. Okay, whatever the documents is there before that document, the value is going to be overridden with the last document value. Let's say if you see here, okay, we stored the dynamic process property by using dynamic process property we stored here. Okay, now we are retrieving those property here. If you see here, we are retrieving only the last document value. Okay, but we can retrieve all the 6 documents. If you see here, we are able to retrieve all the 6. Okay, but this document value is going to be overridden. This document value is going to be overridden with that IDs. Okay, if you see here, yes, clear.
Yeah, clear.
Anyone anyone have any questions or any doubts on this? Yes, anyone have any questions, any doubts? Okay, if you don't have anything, so now we'll discuss about process property. So process property, process property. So process property is a component in Boomi. Okay, it is a property as well as a component in Boomi. Okay, it is a component in Boomi. So which holds all other properties. And whenever if you want to store any static values, okay, when we can store static values and used as a reference in further, as reference in further. Okay, what does it mean? What does it mean? So if you see here, okay, it is no, it is a component. It is a component in Boomi, and we can use as a reference whenever if you want to store some static values. Okay, some directory, some static values. We can use a process property and we can store the values and we can use them as a reference in further in the process. Okay, it is a component. It is a component and it is going to be extended. Okay, it can be extended and persisted. Okay, extended and persisted. So the dynamic process property, that dynamic document property will not be going to be, okay, if you see here, it is a component in Boomi. It is going to be extended as well as a persisted. And other than this process property, which property is going to be extended and persisted? Yes.
Dynamic process
So the
DTP.
dynamic process property can be extended and persisted,
persistent.
right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So now whenever if you want to store any static values and if you retrieve them further and if you want to use them, then we can go with the process property. Process property is a component in Boomi where we can use this property in an entire account level. Okay. So now this property is going to be extended and persisted. Okay. Simple. It is a component. Okay. So let me show you. Let's say if you let me create a component. Okay, let me create a component, new component. If you see here, we have a process property. Do you see here? Do you see here process property? Create a process property, new process property. It is a component. Okay, it is a component where we can create property values. Let's say I want to create a one process property. Here it will accept both like a boolean, date, hidden, okay, number and string, all these things, the date types it is going to be used. Okay, now let me give some name. Now here you can give the default values. Okay, some default values you can give, and we can use those default values in further. Okay, if you want to, these default value is nothing but a static value. The static values can be used further. Okay, how we are retrieving those values, so same way we can retrieve. Okay, by using this save. Now you can see here the history, it is created, which means it is a component. Okay, process property is a component. Clear? Okay, so later I will explain in clear how we can use this properties in real time. Okay, as of now it is clear. Anyone have any questions or any doubts?
No.
Anyone
No
till
problem.
here, like from complete set properties? So one more
Like Pawan,
property is there, MIME
process
property. So
property.
this property is not going to be used anywhere in the process. In anywhere we will not going to be used. That's why I'm leaving about that. Okay, I'm not explaining that. Okay, we will not use anywhere. Okay. Yes, someone is saying something.
Uh, is Pawan.
Yeah.
Like process property, like it's the same, no, as a dynamic process property.
Sorry.
Dynamic process property same for that process property, right? We
No.
can
See,
uh,
like here it is not a component. Dynamic process
okay,
property is not a component, but process
okay,
property is it's a component.
okay, okay,
Okay.
okay, Pawan.
Yeah.
Done.
Okay. So now, if everything is clear, then we'll move forward. Okay. So in coming days I will explain you where we exactly we can use this property, how we can use these properties, uh, in the real time, which property is going to be used at what time and at. Okay. Okay, now we'll discuss about execution id. Execution id, it is very very important, guys. Execution id is very very important when you are working in a real time in a support kind of projects or any development projects. Also this execution id is you know very very important. Okay, so now execution id is a unique id. Execution id is a unique, okay, unique id, which is used to, which is used to track the, which is used to track the complete, okay, which is used to track the complete execution of the process. Okay, track the complete execution of the process. Okay, complete execution of the process. Let's say here we are executing the process. Okay, now let me execute this process. This is our process, right? Let me execute it, save and test it out. Here this is nothing but a execution, we are executing, right? So now if you want to track this execution, okay, if you want to track this execution, we can use the execution property and completely we can track it. Let's say your process is scheduled. Okay, your process is scheduled. Okay, for every 1 minute it is running. Okay, in 24 hours it will execute 24 into 60, right? 24 into 60, 60 times it will execute per day. For example, I'm giving an example. So these many times it is executing. Out of this time, okay, let's say some no some 500 times or else 100 times the execution is getting failed. Okay, now if you want to, if you want to pick out this 100 times the execution out of this. Okay, we need one unique id, right? If you have a one unique identity, then we can easily track, we can easily find out, we can easily identify that particular process, right? out of these executions, okay, I will give you simple F1, simple. Let's say every day it is executing 1,000 times. Okay, any one in one particular process, you have scheduled that process. Okay, in a particular day it is executing 1,000 times, 1,000 times. Okay, out of that 1,000 times, let's say some, okay, some 500 execution is getting failed, or else some 450 execution is getting failed. Like that, if any particular execution is getting failed, you want to find out only this failed execution, only this failed execution. If you have a one unique identity, if you have a one unique number, id number, or unique identity number, by using that we can find out, we can track that particular process, okay, that particular process out of these processes, right, out of this process executions, right. So for that is nothing but a unique id. That unique id is nothing but a execution id. This execution id which is used to track the complete process, okay, we used to complete execution of the process. Okay, so now it is unique. Okay, it is unique. Okay, it is unique for every execution. Okay, let's say if you are executing process, if you are executing process, for every execution the id is going to be created uniquely. It is unique for every execution. Okay, and it is a process. No, see here, it is going to be, it is captured captured before the first try catch a shape, first try catch a shape. Why we need to use, we need to catch that first try catch a shape? So I told you that the execution id, the id where is going to be reset after the try catch a shape, right? After the try catch a shape, the execution, not execution id, the document id is going to be resetted, right? So that it is a best practice. You need to track, complete execution before the, if you are catching that id, if you are capturing that id before the first try catch a shape, or and after the start shape. After the start shape, we need to capture this, execution id. Okay, execution id, let me tell you, let me show you that execution and how it will looks like. Okay, now it is a complete process level, complete process level we are going to be used. Now whenever if you want to store, any execution id, if you want to store any execution id, which property we need to use, which property we use? Yes.
Dynamic
So as I
process
mentioned, it
property.
is a complete execution level property, right? I mean complete process level property. It is a execution id is a constant in complete process. Okay, once you capture that, it is going to be constant, or it is going to be remain same in entire process. Okay, now tell me which property I need to use.
Dynamic process property.
Huh? Can I
Process
use
property.
dynamic process property?
Property.
Can I use dynamic process property? Because the properties remain same in entire process.
AD.
So I can say
Yes.
execution ID, right? So, okay. Now, whenever if you are assigning some metadata details, okay, some metadata details about this execution level, we have one property. Okay, we have one property called execution property. Do you see here? We have an execution property. We have a execution property.
Yes.
Click on this execution property. Now here we have some metadata details like account id, atom name, process, document account, execution id, node id, process name, some some metadata details we have under the execution property. Okay, under the execution property we have some metadata details. So now which property I need to select?
Execution
Which
ID.
property? So do you see
Execution
here
ID.
we have an execution ID? Do we see here we have an execution ID? So click on that execution ID. Say okay. Now you can see execution property name of execution id. So say okay. Okay, so now I am storing that execution id before the first try catch shape, right? Before the first try catch shape and after the start shape. So why I am taking this before the try catch shape and after the start shape means here the process is starting, right? Here the process is starting. After no beginning of the process, if I am storing any unique id, I can track complete process, right? I can track complete process, even if you are getting errors or not, if the process is executing successfully, right? Whatever may be the scenario, but we can track the complete process by using this id. If you are storing that id, if you are capturing that id, we can track complete process, right? We can track that complete process. Yes or no?
Yes.
Right? That is a scenarios. That's why we are able to no we can able to track the complete process if you are storing that execution id before the first try catch shape and after the start shape. So the execution id is a complete process level property. Okay, it is a complete process level property. If you store that no complete id, if you are storing that id, by using that unique id we can track the complete process. Okay, we can track the complete process. Where we are going to be track, how we going to be track, we will discuss later. Okay, once we deployment everything is done, how we at that time I will explain you how we can use this execution id to track the process. But keep it in mind, the execution id is a unique id which is used to track the complete process of execution. Complete execution process we can track by using this id. It is a unique id. Okay, now let me test it out. Okay, let me test it out. Okay, now you can see here. Now come to the set property shape. Okay, check the logs. Here you can see here the execution value, some some unique id is coming, right? Some unique id execution and some unique id created, right? Let me paste it here. Let me paste it here again. Okay, again let me go back. Let me go back again. Let again do a testing. Again come to the set property shape. Okay, now again copy that id, right? So paste it here. So do we see here? Do we see here? It is an unique ID 25AE. Some uniquely it is defined, and here you can see 019889993. Some uniquely it is creating, right? For every execution, it is unique. For every execution, it is going to be unique. So by using this unique ID, by using this unique ID, we can track the complete execution. So now you can see here, it is the data also coming. Okay, the date and the time also coming. By using this we can track complete process. Okay, it is a unique identity. The execution id is a unique id. Okay, so this execution id is very very important when we are working in the real time, so we need to capture this id. Okay, for by using this we can easily identify a particular process which is getting failed or which are getting successfully executed. Out of 100 executions or out of number of executions, if you want to find any specific execution, we can use this execution id. So I will give you one example. Let's say if you are getting your process is running. Okay, your process is running and in a particular time that particular process execution is getting failed. Now you want to send a notification to the client. Okay, to the client that say this process and date and time and all. Okay, you can use this, but if you have a unique identity, if you have a unique id, then by using that unique id, easily we can track and we can identify that issues and we can track that particular process. We can debug those issues, right? So for that we this execution id is going to be used. Okay, this execution id is very very important. Yes, clear? Is it
Yes,
clear?
Pawan, clear, clear.
Yes, Pavan.
Okay. So now handling mechanism. Okay, how we can use this execution id and this properties, by using this execution id and the properties, how we can build the error handling. Okay, in next day tomorrow we will discuss. Okay. Okay, before that I want to discuss. Let's say this is my this is my main process, right? So this is my main process. In from this main process I want to call some sub process. I want to call some sub process, because see, here I am, no, I am using this a main process. In this main process I'm, sending the data to database system. Here no, I'm sending the data to disk, and here also I'm sending the data to disk. But now I want to use another process. I want to use another process. In that process I want to build this no this scenario. I want to build this in that another process, that no, that process can be reusable. Okay, let's say in general, like, in general, if you want to build a multiple process in a single process, we can use a sub process, right? We can create a sub process and we can build same scenarios, right? Yes, sir.
Yes.
So for that we have a shape called process call. Okay, process called shape. Okay, process called shape is used to call the sub process. Okay, whenever if you want to call a sub process, whenever you want to create a sub process from the main process, we can use a process called shape. Okay, process called shape. Do you see here we have a process called shape. So process called shape, the process called shape allow you to execute another process from within a process, which means it is going to be allow you to execute another process from within a process. The sub process call is considered as a separate distinct process execution. The sub process execution result display on the manage menus process reporting page like a regularly this thing I will explain you later, but focus on this line only this process. Okay, the process call shape allows you to execute another process from within the process. So here we can call another process within the process. Okay, so this is my main process. Okay, in this main process if I want to call another process, I can use a process called shape and I can call the sub process. Okay, in general, when in a real times, whenever you have a multiple target systems, you have a multiple target systems. In that, if you want, okay, multiple target systems, for each and every target system you want to create a different process, a different sub process, then we can use a process called shape. Okay, by using process called shape we can call the sub process. Okay, again, process called shape, process called shape. Okay, so let's say here, if you want to call, okay, so if you want to call, okay, if you want to call one process, one process from another process, or main process, okay, sub process from the main process, we can we can do two ways. We can use two shapes and we can call. Okay, we can do in a two ways. Okay, two ways. One is process call shape, and another is process route shape. Okay, process route shape. These are all two shapes which are available in Boomi. By using these two shapes, we can call the sub process. One is a process call shape and another is process route shape. Okay, by using these two shapes, we can call the sub process. Okay, now what is the difference between process call and process route? Both are using same. Both are used to call the sub process, right? Then why we are using both shapes? Okay, we'll discuss later, but okay, now just for time being we'll focus on the process called shape. Okay, don't think that every time I'm saying we'll discuss later. I will discuss later each and every point. What I told, what I'm telling, we'll discuss later. That point definitely we will discuss. Don't worry. Okay, uh, uh, we have one process complete streamline. We'll go one by one. Okay, we'll go in a streamline, like no, shape to shape, point to point, in clear manner. Don't worry, if I'm saying that we'll discuss later means definitely we will discuss. Okay. Okay, so now process call shape. Process call shape. Okay, if you want to call by using process call shape, by using process call shape, we can call one process from another process, one process from another process. Okay, if you want, that is nothing but a sub process from main process, sub process from main process. Okay, main process. So here we can call the sub process from main process. Okay, so now here we have a two type, like we have a two options. Okay, if you see here, wait for the process to be complete and abort if the sub process fails. Okay, wait for the, here we have two options. One is one is wait for the process complete, right, and wait for the process complete, wait for process completion complete and about if sub process fails. And the second option is about if sub process failed. What does it mean, we will discuss. If about if sub process failed. Okay, so now here we have a two options. One is wait for the process to fail and about if sub process no, fails, which means, let's say here, okay, do you see here process call shape, and here it is asking to create a create a new process, or else you can choose the already existed process, because the process is a component, right? Process is a component, we can reuse that particular components, right? So if you want to already existed process reuse, we can reuse, or else if you want to create a new process, if you want to create a new process, you can create it here. So now focus here, now observe here. So now observe here, when I am creating the new process. Okay, new process, it is the brand new process is creating. How we, when we are creating the process component, that time the start shape will create, and we have a four types of start shapes: a connector, trading partner, data pass through, and no data type. Same way, whenever we are creating the whenever we are creating the process from the process called shape, it is going to be create a brand new process. Okay, very very important. When we create new process from the, okay, sub process from the process called shape. Okay, the new process, new the new process is going to be created, going to be created. See how it is going to be created, like when we are creating the process. Let's say here I will show you. Okay, here let me create a new component. Okay, here go and new component, right? It is a component type is process. If I'm creating a, now you can see here, start shape and start shape with no data type, and data pass through, trading partner, connected, all the types are creating, right? So automatically the start shape is going to be created in the process canvas, right? Same way, whenever if you are creating, okay, whenever if you are creating the process from the process called shape, it is going to be created new process, it is going to be created new process. Okay, so now let me create a new process. Okay, here I will create a name as a sub process. Okay, sub process, save. Now you can come here, Now you can see here process. In that we have a sub process, one more component is created, sub process, right? So whenever if you are creating a process from the main process by using process called shape, the new brand new shape, brand new process is going to be created. So now here we can create the process and we can reuse. So now here what I will do, I will copy all this process. Okay, I will copy this, copy, and I will go here and I will paste it. Okay, I am pasting here. So here I am pasting in the sub process. Okay, now here we have a start shape with no data type, trading partner, start shape with the trading partner, start shape with the data pass through, and start shape with the connector type. Now we need to go with the data pass through. Data pass through, why we need to go with the data pass through? Whenever you are calling the sub process, okay, whenever you are calling the sub process, you need to go with the data pass through. Why we need to go with the data pass through, I will tell you. Okay, I will tell you. Data pass through, data pass through. Okay, if you want to, it is used to call the data from the main process, from the main process to sub process, sub process. Okay, so now here let's say, okay, let me come to the sub. Okay, let me save it before I do anything. Okay, now come here. So now I'm connecting to the branch 2. Okay, now I'm connecting it into the branch 2. So now what I want to do, whatever the data is coming from here, so now I want to pull the data, I want to push the data to my sub process. Whatever the data is available, whatever the data is coming to my process called shape, whatever the data is coming to my process called shape, I want to call the data into my sub process. I want to call the data into my sub process. Then I can use start shape with data pass through. Okay, select this option if this process should receive data from another process or another external source. Okay, now whenever if you want to call the data from another process or another external source, then we can use the data pass through. And okay, and very very important note here. Okay, very very important note, if there is no data or no document is coming, no data or no document are coming from the source, from the source. Okay, the data pass through, the data pass through will act as no data type, no data type. Okay, no data type, at what it will create, no, the start shape with no data type, what it will go, what it will do, it will create an empty document to make sure the process execution will get started, right? So if you are not getting any data, okay, if you are not getting, there is no data or any data, there is no data, or if I say any data, don't be confused here, no any data or no document are coming from the source, so the data pass through will act as a no data type and it will create an empty documents. Okay, for example, let's say I am connect, I'm checking this no data, sorry, data pass through. Okay, let's say I'm connecting it, I'm connecting this map shape. Okay, now save. So if you want to test it from here, you can test it. So this data pass through will turn into no data type and it will create an empty document. Okay, now if you want to test it from here, let me test it here. Okay, now you see here the sub process is getting executing. Okay, now the sub process is executing getting executed, right? So now how we can go into the sub process, how we can go navigate into the sub process. Okay, now click on the process called shape and check the data, what are the data is coming to the, what is the data is coming to the process called shape. Now you can see here, if you click on the shape source data, if you click on the shape source data, now you can see here shape source data arrow mark process called arrow mark, it is getting showed here. You can see the arrow mark, right? If you click on this arrow mark, it is clicking on, if you click on the arrow mark, see automatically the process is getting no executed. So here one more important note, we will not going to be execute the sub process separately. Okay, if you want to execute we can do, but no, in general we will not going to be execute the sub process separately. When we are executing the main process, automatically the sub process is going to be executed. When we execute the main process, automatically the sub process is going to be executed. Okay, so when we are executing the main process, automatically the sub process is going to be executed. If you want to execute the sub process separately, we can do. Okay, but now, okay, now I will tell you. Now click on the shape source start shape and click on the connection data. Do we see here we have one document is coming, one document is coming, that is no, one document is coming and it is getting executed, right? It is getting executed. Now same, if you click on go back, okay, if you go back and if you open the second document, if you click on the second document, the second document is going to be executed. And if you go back and click on the third document, and here the top document is going to be executed likewise. Okay, likewise we can call, okay, we can call individual documents here. Okay, the sub process, see, whenever we are executing the main process, automatically the sub process is also going to be executed. It is not like that we are executing the main process separately and the sub process separately. No, whenever we are executing the main process, the sub process is going to be executed. Okay, so basically the process called shape is used to call the sub process when in from the main process. Okay, now okay, okay, now here you can see here the option is getting disabled, we are not able to edit anything. Wait for the the process to be completed. Why, I will tell you. Okay, and here if you check this checkbox, if you uncheck this, if you are getting any sub process, is not going to be about your process. And if you check this, if you are getting any process failed, any execution is getting failed, the sub process, the process is stopped then and there only, the complete process is going to be aborted. Okay, the complete process is going to be aborted if you check this one. Okay, just give me a second. Hello. Okay, here we are calling the sub process. Why this process? See, so whenever if you are using data pass through the here we cannot we cannot able to wait, right? Here we are not able to wait here. Okay, the data which is available in the main process, the same data is going to be called into the sub process. Now if you change this to no data type, if you change this data pass through no data type, okay, now save it. Okay, save and close. Now you can come to the main process. Do you see here the option is now disabled? We can change it, we can check and uncheck the process. Yes, which means, so whenever the no, if you want to call, if you want to call the data which is available in the main process to sub process, there is no option to complete, automatically it is going to be complete. Okay, now if you change this start shape with no data type, then we can, what it is becoming a brand new shape. Okay, there is no connectivity from the main process to sub process. When we check this, no data type. Okay, now here it is a data pass through. Now if you want to test it from here also, we can do. Okay, if you want to test it from here also, you can do testing directly, but it will throws an error because here we are having a map shape, right? So it will throws an error. But if you want to test it from here also, we can do. If there is no data, like no documents are coming from the source, this data pass through will turn into the, it will going to be turned into no data type, and it is going to be create one sub process. Okay, why the sub process are important means, in a real time, okay, the sub process are important to create. Okay, create is used to create the, okay, reusable processes. Like if you want to create error handling, okay, that error handling mechanism, that you can create error handling mechanism in a sub process, and we can use that sub process in multiple processes, right? It's not like that we will create each and every process as a generic new, generic a mechanism, like error handling mechanism. Once we create one error handling mechanism, we are going to be reuse that complete error handling mechanism in a different processes to handle the errors. So for that, we will use the sub process, and we will create reusable processes, like okay, like error handling and error handling mechanisms, and some reusable processes. You feel that one of the sub process is going to be reused in multiple processes, we can use a sub process, and we can create some logic, and we can reuse that. Okay, like that we can use this sub process. Yes. Okay, so now we have two options. One is wait for the, here we have, right? Okay, we have a wait for the complete process, and about if sub process failed. Clear? Anyone have any questions or any doubts? So simple, guys. No, here no need to worry. Simple. Whenever you are have a multiple, if you feel that multiple logics you want to build, that multiple logics can be used in multiple processes, we can use. Or else you have a multiple target systems, you have a, in a process you have a multiple target systems, you want to build a different logic for a different target system, we can call sub process, and we can build. And if you want to build any error handling mechanisms, we can use a sub process, and we can build that no, error handling in a sub process also. So when we are whenever you are executing the main process, automatically the sub process is also getting executed. Whenever you are calling the sub process, we need to use the data pass through. Okay, this data pass through will is used to push the data, I mean, it will use to receive the data from its main process, or it from the previous process to the sub process. If if there is no data is available, or no documents are available, this data pass through will turn into no data type, and it will create an empty document to make sure the process is going to be executed. Clear? Yes, clear till here? Anyone
Yes.
have any questions or any doubts? Yes.
If there is a no data only, we can able to check that option, right?
Sorry.
Uh, data pass through.
Okay.
Like in sub process, if there is a start shape with the no data only, we can check that box, right? Like wait for the process to complete.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, Pawan.
Am I audible now?
Yes, Pawan.
Uh, Yes, Pawan, now you are audible.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, Amani, you are asking something?
Yes, if the in sub process, if there is a start check with no data only, we can able to check that checkbox, right? Wait for process to complete.
I didn't get you. Your voice is very, not
Uh,
clear.
now, now okay, my voice is clear
Yeah.
now.
Yes.
What I'm trying to say is in sub process, if there was start check with no data, then only
Mm-hmm.
we can able to check that checkbox, right? Like
Yes. 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 The
otherwise,
wait
if
for
it is a
wait to
date,
complete.
uh,
Yes.
otherwise it is disabled mode.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.